Hello and a very warm welcome to the British Accent Podcast. Are you learning English and want to sound more natural, more confident and well, a bit more British? You've come to the perfect place, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this exciting journey. Each week, we'll dive into fascinating topics, from everyday life and culture in the UK to tips on pronunciation, vocabulary, and common expressions. We'll break down everything in a clear, easy-to-understand way so you can improve your listening skills and start speaking with clarity. It's not just about learning words. It's about understanding the rhythm and music of the language. So, if you're ready to take your English to the next level, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I can't wait to get started with you. Cheers! Welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. Today, we're talking about something many learners want to improve: how to learn English speaking in a simple and practical way.
Speaking is often the hardest skill because you need confidence, quick thinking, and the ability to choose the right words in the moment. But learning to speak well is not impossible. It becomes easier when you understand the right method.
Exactly. And I think many learners focus too much on grammar books and not enough on real communication. Reading and studying grammar are useful, but speaking is a different skill. You need active practice.
Yes, one of the best ways to start is by speaking a little every day, even if it's only for a few minutes. You can talk about your morning, your plans, or what you see around you. The goal is to train your mouth to move in English.
And many people forget that speaking starts in the mind. If you think in your first language first and then translate, the process becomes slow. But if you think directly in English, your speaking becomes faster and more natural.
A helpful exercise is shadowing. You listen to a native speaker and copy the way they speak, their rhythm, stress, and intonation. It helps you learn how English really sounds, not just how it is written.
And don't worry if you make mistakes. Mistakes are normal and part of the learning process. In fact, mistakes show that you are trying. The important thing is to keep speaking and keep improving.
Another tip is to practice with real people when possible. It can be a friend, a language partner, or even an online speaking group. When you talk with others, you learn how to respond, how to ask questions, and how to keep a conversation going.
Yes, and you can also record your own voice. When you listen again, you hear your pronunciation more clearly. It helps you understand which sounds you need to improve.
For many learners, confidence is a big problem. They feel shy or afraid of being judged, but confidence grows with practice. The more you speak, the easier it becomes.
And remember that speaking English is not about sounding perfect. It's about communicating clearly. Even native speakers make mistakes. What matters is that people understand you.
So, if you want to learn English speaking, focus on daily practice, shadowing, thinking in English, and real conversation. Small, consistent steps lead to big progress.
And we'll continue this discussion in the next part, where we will explore more practical ways to train your speaking skills.
Another thing many learners forget is the importance of listening. Good speakers are always good listeners. When you listen carefully, you naturally learn sentence patterns, common phrases, and the natural rhythm of English.
True, and it helps you respond more naturally because you start to recognize how people connect their ideas. For example, when someone shares an opinion, you learn how to agree, disagree, or add your own thought politely.
Speaking also becomes easier when you build a strong base of simple, useful vocabulary. You don't need complicated words to speak well. You need the right everyday words that fit many situations.
Yes, and you can learn these words through real content like podcasts, short videos, or simple articles. When you hear the same words again and again, they become part of your active vocabulary, not just something you recognize.
Something else that helps is practicing structure. Many learners speak in very short sentences because they're afraid of making mistakes. But if you learn a few patterns, you can build longer, clearer sentences.
Like starting with I think, or in my opinion, when giving ideas, or using first, then, finally, when telling a story or explaining a process. These small structures give you more control when speaking.
And if you want to sound more natural, focus on connected speech. English speakers don't say every word separately. They connect sounds together. Shadowing is perfect for learning this.
I also think it's important to reduce the pressure. Many learners expect themselves to speak perfectly from the beginning. But language learning doesn't work like that. You improve step by step, and progress comes from consistency.
That's true. If you practice 10 minutes every day, you'll improve faster than someone who studies for 2 hours once a week. Small daily practice builds strong habits.
And later, we can also talk about how to build a simple daily speaking routine that fits your lifestyle, even if you're busy or studying alone.
Another point worth discussing is the role of environment. Even if you don't live in an English-speaking country, you can still create an English environment around you. It's about surrounding yourself with the language in small but consistent ways.
Yes, for example, you can change your phone settings to English, follow English creators, or listen to music and podcasts during your daily activities. When English becomes part of your everyday life, speaking feels more natural.
And when you expose yourself to English regularly, you start to notice how people form questions, how they tell stories, and how they express emotions. This helps you build a sense of what sounds right.
You can also practice speaking by using simple prompts. For example, describe what you did today, explain what you're cooking, or talk about your goals. These prompts train your brain to organize ideas in English.
Another great exercise is role-playing. You can imagine you're at a cafe ordering coffee, or at an airport checking in. These situations help you prepare for real-life conversations.
Sometimes learners get stuck because they think too much before speaking. But speaking is a physical skill. Your tongue and mouth need training too. Repeating phrases and practicing pronunciation helps build muscle memory.
And it's helpful to pay attention to stress and intonation. English uses stress to show meaning. For example, stressing different words in a sentence can change what you want to express. When you listen closely, you begin to understand this.
Many learners say they feel nervous when speaking with native speakers. But you can prepare by learning simple conversation starters, like asking about someone's day, talking about hobbies, or commenting on the weather.
Those small conversations help you gain confidence. And as your confidence grows, you'll be ready for deeper topics and longer discussions.
Later on, we'll also talk more about how to keep a conversation going, especially when you feel stuck or unsure what to say next.
Another challenge learners face is running out of words in the middle of a conversation. This usually happens when your passive vocabulary is larger than your active vocabulary. You understand many words, but you don't use them enough to speak smoothly.
A good way to fix this is by recycling vocabulary. When you learn a new word or phrase, try to use it in your daily speaking practice. Use it when describing your day, your plans, or your opinions. The more you use a word, the easier it becomes to say it naturally.
And you don't need to learn 20 new words a day. Even 3 useful words that you actually use can make your speaking stronger. Quality is more important than quantity.
Another tip is to use simple linking words to connect your ideas. Words like because, so, then, also, and but help you sound more fluent because your ideas flow smoothly. Yes, and these small connectors make a big difference. Instead of short answers like I like reading, you can say, I like reading because it helps me relax, or I like reading but I don't always have time. The sentence becomes more natural and complete. Some learners worry about their accent. But accents are normal. Everyone has an accent. Even native speakers have different accents depending on where they come from. What matters most is clarity.
And you can improve clarity by practicing key sounds that are difficult for you. English has some sounds that don't exist in other languages. If you identify which sounds are hard for you, you can focus on them and improve faster.
Another thing that helps is slowing down a little. Many learners speak too fast because they want to sound fluent. But fluency is not speed. Fluency is clarity and flow. Speaking at a comfortable pace helps you choose better words.
And when you speak at a calm pace, you also feel less nervous. It gives you time to think, and it helps you avoid mistakes.
In the next part, we'll explore how to build speaking confidence step by step, especially for learners who feel shy or unsure about their English.
Confidence is something many learners want, but don't know how to build. It doesn't appear suddenly. It grows in small stages, through repeated positive experiences. The more you practice, the more familiar English feels, and the less pressure you feel when speaking.
A helpful way to start building confidence is by speaking alone first. Some people think speaking alone doesn't count, but it's actually one of the best ways to prepare for real conversations. You can practice without fear, without pressure, and without worrying about mistakes.
Yes, and when you speak alone, you can experiment with new words, new sentence structures, and different tones. You can try again and again until it feels more natural. This prepares your brain for actual communication.
Confidence also grows when you celebrate the small wins. Maybe today you pronounced a word correctly, or you answered a question faster than before, or you understood someone without asking them to repeat. These little signs show real progress.
And it helps to compare yourself only to your past self, not to native speakers or advanced learners. Everyone has a different background, different goals, and a different pace. Your journey is unique.
Another way to develop confidence is through predictable conversations. For example, greetings, introductions, asking about someone's hobbies, or talking about your routine. When you know the common patterns, you feel safer and more prepared.
And once you're comfortable with predictable conversations, you can move to slightly more challenging ones, like sharing opinions, giving explanations, or talking about your experiences. This gradual difficulty helps you stay confident instead of feeling overwhelmed.
Practicing speaking in short, simple sessions is also great. Long sessions can feel tiring, but 5 to 10 minutes of focused speaking every day builds strong habits and reduces the fear of speaking.
Another important part of confidence is mindset. If you believe your English must be perfect before you speak, you'll never speak. But if you believe speaking is part of the learning process, you'll feel more relaxed.
Exactly. And confidence grows the most when you accept mistakes as normal. When you're not afraid of mistakes, you speak more freely. And when you speak more freely, you learn faster. One reason conversations stop suddenly is because learners feel unsure about what to say next. But keeping a conversation alive is easier when you use simple strategies. One of them is asking follow-up questions. When someone tells you something, you can respond by asking for more details.
Yes, for example, if someone says, "I went to the park yesterday," you can ask, "Which park did you go to?" Or "Did you go alone?" Or "How was the weather?" These small questions show interest and keep the conversation moving.
Another helpful strategy is adding short comments before your next question. For example, you can say, "That sounds nice," or "I see," or "That's interesting," and then continue with another question or comment. This makes your speaking feel more natural.
You can also share something related to the topic. If someone talks about their job, you can talk about yours. If they share a hobby, You can mention your own experience. This creates a smooth exchange, instead of one-sided questions.
And if you feel your vocabulary is limited, you can use simple phrases to express yourself. For example, I don't know the word, but I mean, or it's like, and then describe the idea. Communicating clearly is always better than staying silent.
Another tip is to use fillers that are actually useful, not random noises, but short phrases that give you time to think. Phrases like let me think, or well, maybe, or what I mean is, help you continue speaking without pressure.
Also, learning basic conversation patterns helps you stay confident. For example, when someone asks you a question, follow this structure, answer, add a detail, then ask a related question. This creates a natural rhythm.
For instance, if someone asks, do you like traveling? You can say, yes, I like traveling because it helps me relax. I usually visit beaches. How about you? It's simple but very effective.
And when you don't understand something, it's completely okay to ask for clarification. You can say, could you say that again? Or what do you mean by that? Asking questions shows confidence, not weakness.
Another way to keep a conversation alive is by showing emotion or reaction. Even simple reactions like that's great, or really, or oh, I didn't know that, help you stay engaged and make the conversation more dynamic. Practicing without a partner is something many learners ask about, and the good news is that it's completely possible. One method is to use speech-to-text tools. You speak, and the app writes what you say. It helps you see if your pronunciation is clear enough for the system to understand.
Another useful approach is to use short videos or podcasts as speaking prompts. After listening, pause and explain what you understood in your own words. This trains both comprehension and spoken production at the same time.
You can also create your own speaking challenges. For example, choose one topic per day, your plans, your weekend, your favorite memory, or a place you want to visit. Speak for a few minutes about that topic. Over time, you'll notice your ideas become easier to express.
And remember, the goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to communicate your message clearly and confidently. Every time you speak, no matter how short or simple, you're strengthening your skills.
Speaking English is a journey, and progress comes from steady, consistent practice. Even on days when you feel tired or unmotivated, a few minutes of speaking helps you move forward.
And with the tips we shared today, shadowing, thinking in English, building confidence, using simple patterns, and practicing daily, you're already on the right path.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll continue this topic in the next episode.
See you in the next one.
Predictable. Meaning, something that is easy to guess or expect because it usually happens the same way. The movie was predictable because I knew the ending from the start. Daily routines are predictable, which makes them easy to talk about in English. Gradual. Meaning, happening slowly over time, not suddenly. Her improvement in English was gradual but very steady. Confidence grows through gradual practice every day. Clarification. Meaning, an explanation that makes something easier to understand. I asked for clarification because I didn't understand the sentence. The teacher gave a clarification to help students understand the rule. Consistent. Meaning, continuing to behave or happen in the same way over time. You will improve your speaking if you stay consistent with practice. His progress was slow at first, but consistent effort helped him succeed. Intonation. Meaning, the rise and fall of your voice when speaking. English questions usually have a rising intonation. Good intonation makes your speech sound more natural. Reaction. Meaning, what someone says or does in response to something. Her reaction to the news was very positive. Giving a small reaction in conversation shows that you are listening. Environment. Meaning, the surroundings or conditions around you. You can create an English-speaking environment at home. A positive environment helps learners feel more confident. Structure. Meaning, the way parts of something are organized or arranged. A clear sentence structure makes communication easier. He used the first, then, finally structure when telling the story. Communicate. Meaning, to share information, ideas, or feelings. You don't need perfect grammar to communicate clearly. They used simple English to communicate with tourists. Exposure. Meaning, the state of being in contact with something and experiencing it. Daily exposure to English helps you think more naturally in the language. Listening to podcasts gives you regular exposure to native speaking styles.